You were not born for comfort. You were born to push, to rise, to tear through the walls of hesitation and step into the violence of your potential. But most won't. Most stay exactly where it's easy. And that ease, that comfort, it's the most dangerous prison there is in without bars, because you walked in willingly. You don't need permission to change. You don't need applause to begin. You don't even need belief at the start. What you need is to stand in front of the mirror and admit, this isn't enough. This version of you tired, distracted, afraid, average, this is not who you were meant to be. And deep down, you already know that. Because you felt the ache. That silent rage when you scrolled past someone doing what you could dowhat you should have been doing, but you didn't. You've tasted the guilt of wasted mornings. You've heard the whisper at night that says, this can't be it. That voice is real. And the longer you ignore it, the louder your regrets will become. The truth? You don't get what you want. You get what you work for. And the only thing standing between where you are and where you're meant to be is the level of pain you're willing to endure to get there. Success doesn't come to those who wait, it comes to those who outlast. But comfort lies. It tells you you're fine. It tells you there's time. It tells you tomorrow. And you believe it because it feels good. But ease never made anyone powerful. Easy never built legacy. The grind, the failure, the repetition, the early mornings when no one sees you, the late nights when everyone else is asleep, that's where champions are made. That's where history bends. You need a mind that obeys your vision, not your feelings, because your feelings lie. They want to sleep, they want to quit, they want to scroll. But your vision is pure. It's ruthless, and it's waiting for you to stop making excuses and start making moves. You want to know what makes the difference between those who succeed and those who rot in mediocrity? It's not luck, it's not talent, it's clarity. Clarity creates action. Action builds momentum. And momentum, that becomes identity. But it starts with knowing exactly what the hell you want and burning everything in your way until you get it. But if you don't decide who you are, the world will do it for you. If you don't write your story, someone else will write it in small, forgettable chapters. You were not built to play small. You were not made for soft battles and easy applause. You were made for fire, for pressure, for storms. And every storm you survived wasn't meant to break you, it was meant to wake you. So wake up. Wake up to the time you've lost. Wake up to the body you've neglected. Wake up to the mind you've allowed to drift. This isn't a game. This is war. And the enemy is inside. It wears your face. It speaks your voice. But it is not your friend. It is the part of you that settles, that snoozes, that accepts maybe someday as a life plan. That part of you dies today. You think you have time? Time is bleeding. Seconds don't ask for permission before they vanish. Every minute you delay is a minute someone else is building. Every hour you avoid discomfort is an hour someone else is using to sharpen their mind, their body, their edge. And edge is everything. Because in this world, it's not the loudest who win, it's the sharpest. The ones who train when others complain. The ones who rise without motivation. The ones who move without applause. The ones who don't need external permission to act on internal fire. But fire without focus burns everything and builds nothing. So you need clarity. Not vague dreams, not pretty mood boards. Clarity. What do you want exactly? Why do you want it? And what are you willing to sacrifice to get it? Because, make no mistake, this version of you can't come with you to your next level. Something has to die for something greater to live. Maybe it's your laziness. Maybe it's your distractions. Maybe it's your ego, your procrastination, your craving for approval. Whatever it is, cut it out, kill it, make room, because the man or woman you're meant to become has no space for weakness disguised as comfort. You were built to endure, but not just survive lead, not just chase create, not just exist expand, but none of that comes easy, and it's not supposed to. Pressure is the proof that you're growing. Discomfort is the compass. Resistance is the signal. You want to be strong? Then stop avoiding the places where strength is born. You want clarity? Then sit in the silence long enough to face what you've been running from. You want peace? Then do the work that earns it. There is no shortcut. There is no hack. There is only discipline. And discipline isn't punishment, it's freedom. Freedom from regret, freedom from weakness, freedom from a life unlived. You think freedom is found in doing whatever you want? No. Real freedom is doing what must be done, especially when you don't feel like it. That's what separates men from boys, leaders from followers, lions from sheep. Anyone can act when it's easy, but when it's cold, when it's early, when the world is asleep and your body is screaming to stop, that's when it counts. That's when your future is watching. And it remembers, because every rep you skip, every excuse you feed, every dream you shelf it, all adds up. And that weight, that's not life being hard. That's the debt of your own avoidance. You've built it. Now you carry it, unless you change. Unless you stand the hell up right now and say, no more. No more waiting, no more blaming, no more settling, because you already know where that path ends. You've been down that road. It's paved in hesitation and filled with faces of people who almost made it. And almost is not the goal. Almost doesn't win. Almost doesn't build legacy. Almost doesn't change your family's future. So kill almost. Burn it to ash. Replace it with action. Replace it with obsession. Because obsession isn't crazy when the mission is clear. When your why becomes non-negotiable, your how becomes automatic. You don't rise by chance, you rise by choice. Relentless, repeated, ruthless choice. The choice to sharpen your thoughts, to wake up earlier, to speak less and execute more, to drown out the noise, to ignore the critics, to become so focused on your vision that fear gets bored and walks away. But here's the problem most people don't choose. They drift, they react, they live on autopilot. Days turn into weeks, weeks into years, and suddenly the mirror doesn't reflect possibility, it reflects regret. The worst kind, the kind you earned by playing small, by playing safe, by choosing comfort over calling. You think greatness is handed out? No. Greatness is built, layer by layer, choice by choice. And it begins the moment you stop asking for it and start working like your life depends on it, because it does. Purpose is not found. It is forged. You carve it from struggle. You shape it with sacrifice. You feed it with faith, and you defend it with discipline. And discipline is not doing what you want. It's doing what you said you'd do, even when everything in you begs you not to. That's the fight. Not with the world, but with the voice inside you that says, later, maybe, I don't feel like it. That voice, that's the thief, the liar, the comfort addict, and you don't negotiate with weakness, you destroy it. You put your feet on the floor before the sun and you move. You lift, you build, you learn, you take control. You write your thoughts before the world can write them for you. You own your time before someone else spends it. You guard your energy like your life depends on it, because it does. And when pain comes, and it will, you don't flinch. You welcome it. Because pain is not your enemy. Pain is the price, the fire, the gate. And on the other side of that fire is the version of you that doesn't crack, doesn't complain, doesn't fold. The version of you that leads, that inspires, that breaks generational limits. The version of you that never apologizes for ambition. But you will never meet that version by staying comfortable. So ask yourself this: what are you pretending not to see? What truth are you avoiding? What standard have you silently lowered so you could sleep better at night? Rip it open. Look at it. Hold it in your hands and break it. Smash it on the floor and build something sharper in its place. A new identity. One built on intention, on clarity, on power. Because you are not here to drift. You are here to direct. You are not here to blend in. You are here to break pattern, to break limits, to break through. But none of that happens until you finally decide, I am done living small. You say it, you mean it, and then you prove it every day, every rep, every step forward when comfort calls you back. Because comfort will always whisper. It will promise ease, safety, softness, but nothing grows there. Nothing extraordinary survives in that soil. If you want a life that matters, you need to live like it, speak like it, move like it, show up like it. This world doesn't need more passive minds. It needs more fire, more vision, More men and women who refuse to die with their potential still trapped inside their chest. Your mind was made to build. Your hands were made to create. Your soul was made to fight for something larger than survival. You want to survive? Then stay comfortable. You want to lead? Then get uncomfortable. Daily, deliberately, violently. Because comfort is not where kings are made, it's where kings are forgotten. You've got one shot, one body, one mind, one window of time, and every second you wait is one more step toward a life you never meant to live. So take it back. Take back your mind, your day, your habits, your fight. Take it back like it's the last chance you'll ever get, because it might be. You don't owe the world anything, but you owe yourself everything. The promise you made to yourself, the one you keep breaking, that ends now. The standard you keep lowering to make others feel comfortable, that ends now. The potential you keep hiding because you're afraid of being seen, that ends now. You weren't born to be liked. You were born to be legendary. But legend isn't built in public, it's built in private. In sweat, in focus, in nights when no one is watching, in decisions no one claps for. And if you can't do it without an audience, you don't deserve the stage. If you can't lead in the dark, you don't deserve the light. So build it in the shadows. Build it when it's hard. Build it while the rest of the world is sleeping. And when they finally see you rise, they'll call it luck. They'll say you were gifted. They'll never know the war you fought just to show up with strength. But you'll know, and that's enough. You'll know because you earned it in silence. You'll know because you bled for it when no one cared. You'll know because you kept showing up long after most would have quit. You'll know because you stopped chasing comfort and started chasing truth. And the truth is brutal. It doesn't care how you feel. It doesn't care what happened to you. It doesn't care about your excuses, your past, your pain. It only asks one question. What are you doing about it? Because the world will give you every reason to be average. It will hand you distractions, temptations, comfort, and more comfort. It will seduce you with soft options. It will numb you with noise. It will applaud your mediocrity and say, you're doing just fine. But that voice is not your friend. That voice is the lullaby that puts dreams to sleep. You want to wake up? Then stop listening. Stop listening to weak thoughts. Stop listening to average people. Stop listening to the version of yourself that's addicted to staying the same. Rip the volume knob off. Cut the signal. Replace it with silence. And in that silence, build something sharper. Because this life, it doesn't bend to intentions, it bends to action, to repetition, to those who are willing to fall flat and rise anyway, to those who decide over and over and over again that they won't stop, that they'll get back up, that they'll crawl forward if they have to. That's resilience. Resilience is not about feeling strong. It's about refusing to quit when you feel weak. It's about learning how to take pain, not personally, but purposefully. It's about facing defeat without turning bitter. It's about getting hurt and growing sharper because of it. You want power? Then stop avoiding resistance. Power is forged under tension. Character is chiseled under weight. Your mind becomes a weapon only when you put it through war. So if it hurts, good. If it's uncomfortable, good. That's the compass, that's the signal. That means you're on the path. But most won't walk it because it's not glamorous, it's not fast, it's not fun. It doesn't feed the ego. It starves it. It doesn't give you applause, it gives you isolation. And in that isolation, most fold. They go back to comfort, they go back to the noise, they go back to good enough. But you didn't come here for good enough. You didn't come here to blend in. You didn't come here to be liked. You came here to conquer, to break through, to raise the ceiling so high that the next generation forgets it ever existed, and that requires sacrifice. It requires saying no when everyone else is saying yes. It requires being misunderstood, judged, ignored, mocked, and still you move, still you build, still you believe. Because your vision is not up for debate. Your mission is not up for public approval. It's yours, and that makes it sacred. So protect it. Protect it from the comfort that creeps in with every skipped rep, every late start, every excuse disguised as rest. Protect it from the version of you that wants validation more than victory. From the people who say, take it easy when you were born to go hard. Because nothing great was ever built by playing it safe. You want great? Then risk looking crazy, risk being the only one who believes, risk going all in when no one else sees it. That's what makes the difference. Not skill, not background, not privilege, not luck, hunger. And hunger isn't a feeling, it's a choice. It's a posture. It's a decision you make every morning to show up, to train like your life depends on it, to act like time is running out, because it is. You don't have forever. You have now. This day, this hour, this moment, that's your edge. Not tomorrow, not someday, now. And the people who win, who dominate, who reshape the landscape, they know how to own the moment. Not wish for it, own it. So ask yourself, are you owning your life or are you renting it? Renting comfort from distractions, renting pleasure from cheap dopamine, renting energy from caffeine instead of discipline, renting confidence from filters instead of self-respect. That's not ownership, that's dependence. And dependence is weakness. You want real strength? Then take ownership of your mind, your habits, your space, your circle. Clean it up, sharpen it. Build a life where excellence is the minimum, not the exception. And if that sounds intense good, it should. Because greatness is intense, growth is intense, discipline is intense, and if you can't handle that, then stop pretending you want to win. Stop pretending you want more while clinging to less. Let go. Let go of comfort like it's poison. Let go of excuses like they're chains. Let go of whatever story you've been telling yourself about why you can't. Burn it. Rewrite it because you can. And the moment you start acting like it, everything changes. That's the shift. It's not some external event. It's not some big opportunity. It's internal. A decision, a line you draw and never cross again, a new identity, one that refuses to settle, one that sees obstacles not as problems but as proof, proof that you're alive, that you're moving, that you're not numb like the rest. And when that identity takes root, you no longer need motivation. You become the source. You walk into rooms and raise the temperature. You speak and people feel it, not because you're loud, but because you're clear. Clarity is a weapon. And most people never find it because they never get quiet enough to listen. Their lives are too loud, too busy, too distracted, and in all that noise, they drown in confusion. They think they need more information. They don't. They need isolation. They need solitude. They need stillness not to relax, but to hear the fire inside again. Because the fire never left, it just got buried. Under opinions, under doubt, under years of playing small and fitting in. But it's still there, waiting for you to stop being scared of who you really are. You're not weak. You're just untrained. And training begins now. Training begins when comfort ends. Training begins the moment you stop asking how you feel and start asking what must be done. Training begins when you realize you are not your moods, your fears, your doubts, or your past. You are your actions. That's it. What you do is who you are. And if you do nothing, you are nothing. That's the part they won't tell you. Because it's easier to sugarcoat, easier to say you're enough while you rot in the same place. But if you were enough, you wouldn't feel the fire inside. That fire is not shame. It's a signal, a reminder that there is more, and you're wasting it. Wasting it on distractions, on cheap attention, on self-pity, on mediocrity dressed up as balance, and every day you pretend you're fine is another day further from what you were meant to build. You weren't built for balance. You were built for purpose, for vision, for weight. And weight will break you if you're soft. That's why we train, not for the six-pack, not for the recognition, but for the mental steel it builds. The type of steel that doesn't bend when life gets heavy. Because it will. It will test you with loss, with betrayal, with silence, with being overlooked, underestimated, ignored. And if you're not built for right, if your spirit hasn't been forged in the fire of repetition and restraint, you'll fold. You'll go back to sleep, and you'll blame the world instead of building yourself. But not you, not anymore, because now you see it. The comfort, the lie, the drug, You see how it's been sold to you your whole life like it's success. Work hard so you can finally relax. No, work hard so you can finally become, so you can finally walk through life knowing that you didn't waste it hiding from your potential. That's the real reward. Peace. Not the fake kind you get from vacations and likes, the deep kind. The kind that lives in your chest when you know without doubt that you gave it everything. And to get there, you have to go all in. Not 50%, not 80%, not most of the time, all in. That means when it's boring, that means when you're tired. That means when it's hard. Because the hard is the way. If it's not hard, it's not growth. You don't grow when it's easy. You grow when it hurts. When you want to quit but don't. When no one's watching but you still go. That's the moment identity is built. That's the moment comfort dies. And death is necessary. The death of your old self. The part that lived for opinions. The part that needed permission. The part that was afraid to be seen. Kill it. Mourn it if you must, but bury it. Then rise. A new mind, a new standard, a new energy, and walk like you belong at the top, not because someone told you, but because you've done the damn work. Because that's what success respects. Work, not wishes, not talk, not vibes. Work. The hours nobody sees, the reps nobody counts, the focus nobody understands, and the truth, they're not supposed to understand, they're not supposed to get it. That's why it's yours. Your mission is not up for debate. You don't need them to agree. You don't need them to clap. You don't need their likes, their comments, their affirmations. What you need is results. Tangible, earned, undeniable results. And that only comes from action. So get uncomfortable, on purpose, seek the struggle, invite the resistance, let it harden you, let it carve you into someone who doesn't break when the storm hits but becomes the storm. That's what leaders do. They don't run from chaos, they create order inside of it. They don't ask if they're ready, they move and build readiness through repetition. They don't seek comfort, they train for war even in peacetime. Because they know peace is temporary and comfort is a setup. You want to lose everything you've built? Get comfortable. You want to be forgotten? Get comfortable. You want to betray your future self? Keep chasing convenience. Or choose the opposite. Choose fire. Choose fight. Choose growth so aggressive it scares your old self into extinction. Choose mornings before sunrise. Choose meals that fuel. Choose movement over escape. Choose books over mindless scrolling. Choose creation over consumption. Because most people don't fail because they're weak. They fail because they're full. Full of distractions, full of comfort, full of noise, full of themselves. You want to win? Empty yourself. Humble yourself. Stand at the edge of your ability and push it every single day until that edge expands, until what was once impossible becomes inevitable. That's growth. That's domination. That's evolution. And that's your job now, to evolve, to become so focused on what you're building that fear has no seat at the table, to wake up with purpose and sleep with pride, to live in alignment with a mission so personal, so powerful that mediocrity becomes physically uncomfortable. That's how you know you're on track. Not when it feels easy, but when it burns. Not when they approve, but when you don't need them to. Not when the path is clear, but when you're willing to walk it even in the dark. You were not put here to drift. You were not put here to echo other people's voices. You were not put here to live small so others could feel tall. You were put here to shake the ground with your footsteps, to speak with a voice that doesn't stutter when the world pushes back. You want that kind of power? Then earn it through discipline, through clarity, through action so relentless it rewires your DNA. And you keep going until your very presence says one thing: I do not fold. That's your creed now. That's your anchor when the wind hits, when the storms come, when you're down to nothing but breath and grit. When you say it, it's not for them, it's for you. A line in the sand, a contract with your future, a reminder that your bloodline shifts with your choices. Because that's what this is, bigger than you. This isn't just about money or abs or titles. This is about becoming the kind of person your future children can point to and say, that's where it changed. That's where the excuses ended. That's where legacy began. And legacies are not built in convenience. They are built in conviction. in the silence between distractions, in the reps no one thanks you for, in the sacrifices no one understands, in the days where nothing happens but you still show up. That's the real work, the invisible work, the unglamorous grind, the choices you make when nobody's looking. You want a different life? Then make different choices. Radical ones: refuse what the average man accepts, wake up earlier, eat cleaner, train harder, think deeper, speak less, move more. Execute without applause, sacrifice without complaint, and suffriers suffer without seeking sympathy, because there is power in suffering. Not in the pain itself, but in what it awakens in you. It strips you, burns away what's soft, forces clarity, forces faith, forces you to meet the real you, the one beneath the ego, the fear, the mask. And that self, that's the one you train for. Not the image, the essence, not the Instagram version, the internal version, the one who knows who he is even when the lights are off and the room is empty. So burn the mask, burn the performance, burn the need to be understood. You don't need understanding, you need results. You don't need comfort, you need hunger. You don't need the world to agree, you need to become undeniable. And undeniable isn't a gift, it's a discipline. It's what happens when you build without permission. When you get so damn good they can't ignore you, even if they want to. When you keep showing up until the universe bends. But the universe doesn't bend for average. It bends for energy, for urgency. For people who don't wait for signs, they become one. So become one. Become the reminder that strength is still real, that honor still matters, that hunger still wins. Become the reason someone else changes, not because you told them to, but because your existence made mediocrity unbearable. And that starts with your mind. Your mind is the battlefield. Every day it tries to convince you to take the easy route, to stay in bed, to delay, to doubt, to hide. That voice will never leave. So don't try to silence it. Overpower it. Flood it with truth, with vision, with repetition so aggressive that your mission drowns out the noise. Your mind obeys what you feed it. Feed it weakness, it becomes weak. Feed it power, it becomes unstoppable. So protect your inputs. Guard your time like it's sacred. Refuse to entertain anything that doesn't sharpen your focus. Because distractions are not neutral. They are enemies dressed in convenience. They rob your edge, numb your instincts, pull your eyes from the prize. And once they break your focus, they break your future. So cut them off, all of them. The apps, the conversations, the people, the habits. Rip them out by the root and replace them with intention. Replace them with books that stretch you, with routines that ground you, with environments that sharpen you, with silence that speaks truth. Because silence is where the real answers live. Not in noise, not in more content, in stillness, in the mirror, in the pain you've been avoiding. That pain, it's not your enemy, it's your map. It shows you where the growth is, where the weakness hides, where the next level begins. Follow it, chase it, let it teach you. Let it lead you to a version of you that doesn't shrink in adversity, but expand. Because you were not built to break. You were built to bend, to adapt, to grow sharper under pressure, like steel forged in flame, like roots grown deep in drought, like warriors born in battle, not books. So act like it. Walk with that weight in your chest, that pressure that reminds you you're here for more. And every moment you don't act on it, you betray yourself. You betray your potential. You betray your purpose. And that's the greatest sin of all, not failure, but wasted fire. Don't waste it. Let them laugh. Let them doubt. Let them misunderstand you. Let them say you're obsessed, too intense, too focused. That's fine. Let them play while you train. Let them sleep while you build. Let them settle while you rise, because comfort is for the crowd. Conviction is for the chosen. And you've already chosen. You feel it. That fire in your gut when you hear the truth, that pulse in your chest when you move in alignment, that voice that says, keep going, even when there's no applause. That's your signal. Follow it. Don't wait for permission. Don't wait for clarity. Don't wait for the world to be ready. It never will be. You go first. You move first. You change first. And when you stop hesitating, when you stop explaining, When you stop waiting and start becoming, everything shifts. Not instantly, not dramatically, but surely, like gravity, like time, like truth. It compounds, it stacks, it multiplies, until suddenly they're looking at you like you were always that person. But you know better. You remember the war, the darkness, the discipline, the mornings where you wanted to quit, the nights where you felt alone, the months where it didn't make sense, but you didn't fold. You didn't stop. You didn't compromise. You just kept building, and now you are the result. The proof, the evidence that it's possible, that hunger wins, that comfort is a lie, that the storm doesn't destroy you, it defines you. So let it come. Let the pressure build. Let the discomfort rise. Let the fire do its work. You're ready. You were always ready. You just had to stop being comfortable long enough to remember who you are. And now you remember, not because someone told you, not because you read it in a book, because you felt it in your chest, in your bones, in your silence. You remembered what the world tried to make you forget, that you were never average. You just acted like it for too long. But now, that version of you is done, dead, buried under the weight of discipline and born again in the fire of decision. Because everything changes when you decide. One decision, one violent final declaration that says, I don't go back, I only go forward. That's all it takes. And from that moment on, you walk like the future is watching, because it is. You move with clarity. You speak with intention. You train with fire. You guard your mind like it's the source of all wealth, because it is. Your mind is the asset. Your habits are the proof. Your results are the evidence. And comfort is the enemy of all three. Comfort kills precision. It dulls the edge. It makes warriors soft. It makes legends invisible. You weren't made for that. You were made for fire, for movement, for vision that bends the world. So don't just move forward. Move with dominance. Walk into your day like it owes you something. Because it does. It owes you opportunity. It owes you resistance. It owes you the chance to prove again and again that you are not like them. You don't flinch. You don't fold. You don't beg life to be easier. You rise. You meet life on its hardest terms and say, give me more. More pressure, more weight, more adversity. Because the more I carry, the more I become. That's the code. Not victimhood. Not blame. Not softness. Ownership. Ruthless, relentless, unapologetic ownership. That's how you build a life worth remembering. Not with comfort, but with the kind of pain that turns cowards to kings, with the kind of repetition that turns dreamers to doers, with the kind of discipline that makes fear irrelevant. Because fear will come. It always does. But trained minds don't negotiate with fear. They use it, channel it, turn it into focus, into movement, into hunger. And that hunger, that fire in the belly, it doesn't come from motivation. It comes from identity, from knowing who you are and refusing to be anything else. So ask yourself, who are you becoming? Not what do you want, not what do you wish. Who are you becoming through your patterns, through your rituals, through the micro decisions you make when no one's looking? Because those decisions, they don't lie. They tell the truth of your future. The snooze button is a vote. The workout you skip is a vote. The food you inhale mindlessly is a vote. The scrolling, the complaining, the procrastinating, it's all a vote. And you're casting ballots every day for the life you'll have 5 years from now. So vote like it matters. Act like your future depends on it, because it does. You don't get this time back, this breath, this hour, this version of you that still has the strength to move. Don't waste it. Don't waste it waiting for someone to rescue you. Don't waste it thinking you'll start tomorrow. Don't waste it thinking life owes you something just because you want it badly enough. Life doesn't give you what you want. It gives you what you demand consistently. And demand isn't spoken. It's proven. Through the alarm you obey. Through the reps you hit. Through the books you read. Through the silence you embrace. Through the storms you face without flinching. That's how you earn your peace. Not with meditation, with movement, with mission, with making yourself so undeniably sharp, so painfully consistent, so radically focused that peace becomes the byproduct of your discipline. And that discipline, it's not about being perfect. It's about being aligned, about building a life where your habits reflect your vision, where your daily behavior honors the future you said you want. But if your habits betray your vision is a lie. So look at your life, not emotionally, mathematically. What time do you wake up? What do you feed your body? What thoughts do you entertain? What information do you consume? What environment do you train in? What people do you surround yourself with? Every answer is either sharpening you or softening you. There is no neutral. There is no middle. There is no, it's just one time. Everything matters, every rep, every step, every breath. And if you feel overwhelmed by that, good. Let it sink in. Let it burn. Let it slap you awake. You've been asleep too long. You've been numbed by comfort, softened by options, paralyzed by overthinking. This is your alarm. This is your signal. This is your line in the sand. Right now, not tomorrow, not when it's easier, not when you feel ready. Now, because ready is a myth, confidence is a consequence. It comes after you act, not before. It's earned in silence, in sweat, in the repetition that no one else wants to do, in the loneliness that most people can't stomach. But you can't, because you're not most people. You're not here for average. You're not here for the approval of the crowd. You're here for fire, for purpose, for a life so built on principle and precision that failure feels like fiction. You're here to become a problem for your past, a threat to your doubt, a force so rooted in discipline that circumstances bow when you show up. But you don't get that life by default. You get it by design, through ruthless self-honesty, through cutting what no longer serves, through building when it hurts, through acting when it's boring, through moving when it's terrifying. And over time, those actions become you, not things you do, who you are. You become the standard, the voice, the force, the fire. You become the proof that comfort is not the reward, it's the poison, the destroyer of dreams, the quiet killer of greatness. And you didn't come this far to die in comfort. You came to conquer it. Don't look back. Nothing back there serves you, not the regrets, not the old habits, not the version of you that tolerated average and made excuses look noble. That person had their time. That time is over. Burn it, bury it, bless it if you need to, but never return to it. There's only forward now, only up, only deeper, only sharper. Because the next level is waiting and it's not polite. It won't lower itself to meet your current standards. It won't adjust to your comfort zone. It's standing tall, daring you to rise. It's guarded by discipline, surrounded by sacrifice, and built on the bones of those who almost made it. But almost is for amateurs. You didn't come this far to be almost. You came to finish. You came to conquer. You came to evolve. So evolve. Evolve beyond weakness. Evolve beyond laziness. Evolve beyond the fear of being seen, of being judged, of being different. Yes, you'll be misunderstood. So what? Yes, they'll say, you've changed. Good, you're supposed to change. You're supposed to outgrow the old rooms, the old conversations, the old energy that kept you small. Let them go. Let them watch. Let them wonder how you move from maybe to inevitable. Because that's what you are, no inevitable. Not perfect, not chosen, but committed. And commitment wins. Always. The world doesn't need more talented people. It needs more committed people. People who don't flinch. People who don't lie to themselves. People who don't apologize for their standards. Let the world call it extreme. Let them call it obsessive. Let them call it lonely. That's fine. They don't understand what it means to live with fire in your lungs and purpose in your veins. They don't understand what it takes to rewire a legacy from scratch, to become the first, the blueprint, the proof that it can be done. But you do. You understand. You feel it in your bones. You see it when you close your eyes. You hear it in the silence when your mind finally stops running and the truth rises like a roar. I was made for more. I was made to lead. I was made to sharpen. I was made to carry weight. I was made to fight battles others would run from. I was made for the mountain, not the valley, for the storm, not the shade, for the fire, not the couch. And from this moment on, you carry that truth into everything, into every set, every rep, every hour of study, every dollar you earn, every conversation you lead, every promise you keep, every standard you raise, every fear you destroy. Because the world doesn't change by luck. It changes by force, by vision, by people like you who refuse to stay comfortable while the world burns. Comfort is death in slow motion, but you are resurrection in real time, a walking revolution, a storm in human form. You don't wait for opportunities, you create them. You don't ask for permission, you grant it to yourself. You don't need to be inspired, you breathe inspiration into every space you enter. You don't get ready, you stay ready. And you do it without noise, because the loudest person in the room is usually the weakest. But you don't need to shout, you don't need to show off. You let the results speak, you let the work scream. You let your presence announce what your voice never has to say. I am not here to be liked, I am here to lead. So lead, not someday, not when you feel confident. Now, broken, imperfect, in progress. Because leaders aren't built when they feel ready. They're built when they move anyway. They're built when they rise from the floor and say, still here. They're built in the silence, in the struggle, in the moments where most would quit, but you don't. You don't fold. You don't fade. You don't flinch. You fight. And you fight with fire, with vision, with clarity, with the kind of focus that makes comfort uncomfortable. That's your new identity now. Not average, not hopeful, not waiting, but driven, clear, relentless. And it shows in how you walk, how you breathe, how you think. No more leaking energy on things that don't matter. No more wasting hours on people who don't build. No more entertaining thoughts that contradict your mission. You're done explaining yourself, done shrinking, done negotiating with comfort. From here on out, it's standards, it's structure, it's strategy. You move different, you think different, you live different, because your future is watching. Every move you make now echoes forward into the people you'll lead, the lives you'll touch, the ceilings you'll break, the bloodlines you'll shift. That's the weight you carry, and it's not a burden. It's a blessing, because you were built for weight. You were built to carry more, to feel deeper, to think sharper, to move faster, to lead better, to live harder, to die with nothing left undone. You're not soft. You're not unsure. You're not late. You're ready. And everything that's coming, every test, every trial, every tension is not to break you. It's to reveal you, to introduce you to the you that's been buried under years of comfort, the real you, the you that's built in fire and focused like a blade. That's the version the world's been waiting for. So give it to them. Give them the leader, the visionary, the force. Give them the example. Give them the fire. Give them the version of you that doesn't back down, doesn't fold, doesn't need comfort to move. And don't stop. Not when it hurts. Not when it's quiet. Not when it's hard. Especially when it's hard, because hard is your advantage. Most people fail because they run from hard. You rise through it. You bend it. You build with it. So build. Build with pressure, with pain, with focus, with silence, with discipline, with fire, with speed, with peace, with power, with everything you've got until comfort is not even a thought anymore. Until your very existence is a threat to weakness. Until they stop asking how you did it and start asking how they can start. That's the goal. That's the edge. That's the mission. And now you've got it. Don't look back. Don't let go. Don't slow down. Don't settle. Get up, lock in, and move, because most people fail because they're comfortable. You're not most people. You're the exception. You're the fire. You're the proof. And now the world will feel it. Don't look back. Nothing back there serves you. Not the regrets, not the old habits, not the version of you that tolerated average and made excuses look noble. That person had their time. That time is over. Burn it, bury it. Bless it if you need to, but never return to it. There's only forward now, only up, only deeper, only sharper. Because the next level is waiting and it's not polite. It won't lower itself to meet your current standards. It won't adjust to your comfort zone. It's standing tall, daring you to rise. It's guarded by discipline, surrounded by sacrifice, and built on the bones of those who almost made it. But almost is for amateurs. You didn't come this far to be almost. You came to finish. You came to conquer. You came to evolve. So evolve. Evolve beyond weakness. Evolve beyond laziness. Evolve beyond the fear of being seen, of being judged, of being different. Yes, you'll be misunderstood. So what? Yes, they'll say, you've changed. Good, you're supposed to change. You're supposed to outgrow the old rooms, the old conversations, the old energy that kept you small. Let them go. Let them watch. Let them wonder how you move from maybe to inevitable. Because that's what you are, no inevitable. Not perfect, not chosen, but committed. And commitment wins. Always. The world doesn't need more talented people. It needs more committed people. People who don't flinch. People who don't lie to themselves. People who don't apologize for their standards. Let the world call it extreme. Let them call it obsessive. Let them call it lonely. That's fine. They don't understand what it means to live with fire in your lungs and purpose in your veins. They don't understand what it takes to rewire a legacy from scratch, to become the first, the blueprint, the proof that it can be done. But you do. You understand. You feel it in your bones. You see it when you close your eyes. You hear it in the silence when your mind finally stops running and the truth rises like a roar. I was made for more. I was made to lead. I was made to sharpen. I was made to carry weight. I was made to fight battles others would run from. I was made for the mountain, not the valley. For the storm, not the shade. For the fire, not the couch. And from this moment on, you carry that truth into everything, into every set, every rep, every hour of study, every dollar you earn, every conversation you lead, every promise you keep, every standard you raise, every fear you destroy. Because the world doesn't change by luck. It changes by force, by vision, by people like you who refuse to stay comfortable while the world burns. Comfort is death in slow motion, but you are resurrection in real time, a walking revolution, a storm in human form. You don't wait for opportunities, you create them. You don't ask for permission, you grant it to yourself. You don't need to be inspired, you breathe inspiration into every space you enter. You don't get ready, you stay ready. And you do it without noise, because the loudest person in the room is usually the weakest. But you don't need to shout, you don't need to show off. You let the results speak, you let the work scream. You let your presence announce what your voice never has to say. I am not here to be liked, I am here to lead. So lead, not someday, not when you feel confident. Now, broken, imperfect, in progress. Because leaders aren't built when they feel ready. They're built when they move anyway. They're built when they rise from the floor and say, still here. They're built in the silence, in the struggle, in the moments where most would quit, but you don't. You don't fold. You don't fade. You don't flinch. You fight. And you fight with fire, with vision, with clarity, with the kind of focus that makes comfort uncomfortable. That's your new identity now. Not average, not hopeful, not waiting, but driven, clear, relentless. And it shows in how you walk, how you breathe, how you think. No more leaking energy on things that don't matter. No more wasting hours on people who don't build. No more entertaining thoughts that contradict your mission. You're done explaining yourself, done shrinking, done negotiating with comfort. From here on out, it's standards, it's structure, it's strategy. You move different, you think different, you live different, because your future is watching. Every move you make now echoes forward into the people you'll lead, the lives you'll touch, the ceilings you'll break, the bloodlines you'll shift. That's the weight you carry. And it's not a burden. It's a blessing, because you were built for weight. You were built to carry more, to feel deeper, to think sharper, to move faster, to lead better, to live harder, to die with nothing left undone. You're not soft. You're not unsure. You're not late. You're ready. And everything that's coming, every test, every trial, every tension is not to break you. It's to reveal you, to introduce you to the you that's been buried under years of comfort, the real you, the you that's built in fire and focused like a blade. That's the version the world's been waiting for. So give it to them. Give them the leader, the visionary, the force. Give them the example. Give them the fire. Give them the version of you that doesn't back down, doesn't fold, doesn't need comfort to move. And don't stop. Not when it hurts. Not when it's quiet. Not when it's hard. Especially when it's hard, because hard is your advantage. Most people fail because they run from hard. You rise through it. You bend it. You build with it. So build. Build with pressure, with pain, with focus, with silence, with discipline, with fire, with speed, with peace, with power, with everything you've got until comfort is not even a thought anymore, until your very existence is a threat to weakness, until they stop asking how you did it and start asking how they can start. That's the goal. That's the edge. That's the mission. And now you've got it. Don't look back. Don't let go. Don't slow down. Don't settle. Get up, lock in, and move, because most people fail because they're comfortable. You're not most people. You're the exception. You're the fire. You're the proof. And now the world will feel it.